What's up guys, this is Heiss, and welcome back to our Walthers Build-A-World Build-Along series. This is month number 3. As you can see, we've completed a couple things, track, ballast, and the rocks in the preceding months, and this month we've got something new. As always, of course, a huge thank you to Walthers for sending out the kits, setting this whole thing up, and sponsoring this series. This has been super fun, and I'm a big fan of how this is turning out. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you like this new setup a little bit better than what we've been doing previously. I've still got my GoPro here for any close-up crazy action that we do. Rearranged things in the bachelor pad a little bit, got some actual lighting figured out, and hopefully it looks good, and hopefully you enjoy it. So let me know if you do. Kapow! And we're gonna see what we're doing this month. Where's my stabber? Let's see, what goodness do we have here? More tape, that's what we have. A water kit. More difficult splody boys. Grass. Oh, on a sheet. That's new to me, okay. And then our instruction book. So we've got grass and water. I take it we're gonna be doing grass and water. There you go. I've never done water before. I've also never done grass this way. I used, when I built my last railroad many moons ago, time's fake, good God, that was a long time ago. When I last did that, I used the shakers. Like I painted the terrain, then used the shakers and the cement. But this is just grass that's already on a sheet. Moldable, removable turf, easy to cut, non-shedding, non-staining. Look at that. So that'll be neat. We'll just kind of have to see how that goes. What do we have here? So it says we need to prepare the grass mat. I have found my implements of construction and measuring. I think we're gonna freehand it, and I think it's gonna be fine. So I don't think being perfect, exact, everything is gonna matter here. We've talked about how the spice of life is the random and the variance. So vaguely close, I think, is probably gonna be fine. And this cuts beautifully easy with scissors, so any way that we size this, right, is not going to work. Cutting that in half, it doesn't butt up all the way there, it doesn't do a thing there. So like, there's gonna be a seam and a gap, and we're gonna have to like cover it at some point. I read the instructions again, and I cleaned off the loose detritus from my whole setup here. I missed the key piece of this, which is that I need to trim these to length for the length of the module because they're a bit longer. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm going to move that over there. Oh, look at that seam, disgusting, how dare I? And do my best to cut this perpendicularly by eye. Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. Don't worry if you can still see the seam. We're gonna blend the scenery using loose ground cover. In a later kit. Gotta remove the hardened detritus on the top of that too. Speed bond. just like you're slathering mayonnaise on a sandwich. just put it on there nice and thick. Not really. We're gonna get pretty good coverage. I should put something down on the table surface before I pour more stuff. Put a brush there, but it says spread the glue with a foam brush. You know that we love to spread the foam here. And I'm trying to get it kind of close to the edges so that it doesn't want to peel up, because I worry using the sheet that the edge conditions might be interesting. Like it'd be more likely to peel up, possibly. That's where you tend to have challenges with things. Getting the glue nice and spread there, and a good pass down the whole edge there. Pay no attention to all the plaster that I've gotten everywhere on this. Came in like a wrecking ball. Something like that, right? Okay, so then we're going to put this guy down as best as we can. Just flat like that. Oh, he's not gonna wanna sit flat, is he? Okay. We might have to bring back our old friend, the oil burner. Oh shoot, no, we can't bring back our old friend, the oil burner. The oil burner is being the counterweight to my light. So I did cut that a little too long. Yeah, just sit. I'm gonna get a book. Okay, so I just did a bunch of stuff without filming it because I was working against the speed bond. Let me catch you up. I've got the book, I've got the water kit for later in this, some playing cards and a GoPro holding things down. The speed bond allegedly sets in 5 minutes. So we're racing against the clock right now, and I didn't want to have it be wavy, and the corners were sticking up, the edges were sticking up. So what I did, without filming, because I was trying to put it all together, was I lifted the corners up, and I dolloped a little bit more speed bond in there, and then I weighed them down. And it seems like things are holding now. I believe my glue half set. So I'm going to remove my accoutrement from the top of these sheets. The speed bond half bonded speedily. Create a template in the general shape of the pond from a scrap sheet of paper. I don't have a scrap piece of paper, but I do have this instruction booklet. Where is your God now? Oh, look at me! Oh, good. Well, we'll just kind of cut out our pond shape. And we'll just kind of chop it down as we need to. And I kind of want it to be a fun shape, like it's got a little bit of a kidney bean thing going on in it. So I'm gonna do that. And that's probably going to make dealing with the water really annoying. Come in here and we'll make another little pass. Skadoosh. Just like that. Now it's kind of like like the smiley face has been hitting the jaw. We gotta rein this one corner in here. A good, like 3/8 like that. This seems to be the dimension of pond that they so desire. And I think the speed bond, in the time that I've spent ponding, the speed bond hath done a thing. Just tighten that up just a little bit. Okay. No! Bond speedily! How dare you? Okay. Weights off. Doesn't seem like it's springing back right away. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the mat. Maybe I should have used more glue. Be interesting to see what Nick says and did at the end of the video. But we've got our pond template. And they've spaced theirs kind of like that, so that's kind of what they're doing. No, I don't really have a pencil. I've got a pen, but I assume that will, yes, it will draw on the grass mat. So we'll just use what we have. There's a joke to be had there about the Americans spending millions and millions of dollars developing a pen that could write upside down in space, and the Russians using a pencil. And here I am, a mechanical engineer, not having a pencil handy. Got a little template of the pond, and the speed bond is trying to usurp us still. It's been sitting for quite a bit. Stay. Yeah, I'm not sure how much I like that. I probably did not use enough glue. Got it, done the thing. We have to remove the grass. So we're letting the water saturate the surface. Interesting. Gave it a good long time this time. Speed bond should have bonded at this point. Got some water in the glass right here, and we will just get a little pipette, and we're gonna feel very chemistry-y, and I swear to God, that's still trying to come up. We're just gonna go with it. We're gonna send it. I'm gonna be cutting stuff out right there, or like, we're gonna be trying to get rid of grass right there anyways, so we'll just figure it out. Oh, that really does absorb, doesn't it? That's interesting. This material's neat. Does not want to stick to this foam, but that's fine. Apparently I should have let the speed bond dry overnight or something. If this ends up being a blunder, well, don't do it like I did. That's the secret. All right, I don't think we want to go too far outside. Like, we want to go up to the outline that we drew, I'm assuming. Get it nice and saturated. And you could also see that I've put some cardboard underneath. Gonna try and limit the amount of science experiments that make it to my tabletop. Oh, that's interesting. And once it's hydrated, the water kind of just slurps in with the rest of it. That's kind of neat. Perhaps someday the speed bond will bond there. So we got this big scraper, which is another fancy word for a big piece of styrene. And we'll just, yeah, using the corner to get the outline of the pond. Earlier I was talking about how I liked the ground foam a little bit better, and I wasn't sure if I liked this, but I didn't realize that the liner is a separate piece. I assumed that we were gonna cut out the liner as well, and we're not. The backing piece is waterproof, or it's liquid proof, right? So you don't have to seal otherwise. Like, it makes sense for this application. If you were going to do this, it makes a lot of sense to have done it with this product as opposed to something else. Perhaps my violent scraping of saturated grass water stuff now. Perhaps that shall help glue it down, maybe. No, that's just making it violently worse. Oh goodness, this is just not stuck down at all. Some of it glued. Yeah, this is... Okay, so I'm going to remove this because I mean it's just not, it's not adhered itself. I'm gonna use a lot more glue because even this hasn't done it. And it's probably because I didn't keep my surface super clean in previous steps, so we're living with my own hubris here. Get a little crazy with the glue. I think that's the big takeaway there. And then try and replace that basically where we had it. Didn't even spread the glue around. I just plomped this guy on there. And now we're just setting him down and we're trying to work out any of the little air pockets. Wonder if I can, now that I've got more glue, can I just kind of continue with the scrapage? Is that gonna help? Because it's kind of acting as a additional pressing force. So it really does seem that with more glue, it is sticking so much better already. I don't know why I didn't get crazy with mine the first time, but it's doing so much better this time. And it's letting me scrape this stuff off. So I'm gonna scrape the rest of the pond out and I'll meet you back in a sec. Thankful success. I used the ton more glue this time to hold down the section, and even scraping, it twisted it a little bit, but I was able to put it back in line while it was drying, so I was getting multiple steps done kinda at once, which makes me happy. And I've scraped out the outline of the pond. But now what we need to do, using that same foam brush, is we need to undercoat the pond. There's the actual water itself, which is kind of a strange opaque-ish liquid there. And then this is the undercoat color. Woodland Scenic's instructions were a little bit more in-depth than these, but that makes sense. And it suggested if you want to imply depth to make it darker in the center, which makes sense. I'm just gonna, oh goodness, get it everywhere. Very stringy paint. I'm gonna try and keep it thicker in the center and just thin it out towards the outside. But this is cool. I definitely see the merit of this now. I know earlier I was saying that I didn't like it, but use more glue, more better. Just trying to keep it a little varied, a little bit more in the center. I'm not going all the way to the edges with it in terms of this color. And now it basically looks pretty uniform. So I'm just gonna get a nice dab and I'm just gonna lay it a little thick in the middle here. And that's starting to look pretty good. And if I use other parts of the brush that have not been saturated with any madness here, I'm using like the side of the brush, I can help blend the sections a little bit. Because I've still got a fair amount of stuff applicated on the tip, but not on the side. So if I lightly use the brush on the side, it'll change color as it dries, of course. And it does say to let it fully dry, and it doesn't say how long it's gonna take to dry. We're gonna use the speed bond and build a whole thing of glue, a whole bead all the way around the edge. And then that will make sure that our water doesn't leak. All right, well, the edges of my puddle have dried up. The interior still has a little bit to go, but we're gonna make the glue dam, and that's also gonna dry. So I figure we can save a little drying time by doing a little bit of the both of those. So I'm going to make my glue dam and see how it goes here. So they showed a pretty decent bead size. I think just going a little slow right around the edge with good pressure should be all we need to really do. I was worried about that, and it just worked. So there's a good bead of glue. We're gonna let that dry, and then we'll come back and get the realistic water in place. All right, folks, the glue is no longer tacky. I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's kind of made an outer shield membrane, and I can sit here and poke it. It's been about 3 hours, and I wanna get some water poured in this thing. Oh, it's decently viscous stuff. Okay. Oh, weird. Okay. It's gonna need many pipettes. Takes me back to chemistry class. So I guess I don't know how this stuff sets up and how it dries. Because right now there's some obvious brush marks, and I guess I'll find out. And there we have it. A whole pond. And it seems like it just makes the those air bubbles just happen. And I'm just gonna assume that that's okay. And then we'll come back tomorrow, see how it dries overnight. All right, folks, it has been overnight. Obviously, new shirt, freshly done hair. Look at that, it's crazy. And this is finished. You know, I think I wish I would have been a little bit more in depth with the dark paint. I don't think I got enough of the underlayment on to get enough of a unique coating, and it definitely looks a little brushed on. But the whole point of this is to learn the skill and do some trial by error and learn some new things. And I learned some things that maybe not exactly for me. And it looks like everything's set up, and the reflectivity of the water is actually pretty cool. I don't know if it'll come up on camera, but let's see, I think I can tilt it this way. But here's where we sit. We've got in the pond, and you can see how reflective it is with the water and everything, which is pretty cool. And my grass finally stayed down. So not my best work so far on this kit, but definitely something that I think wouldn't be hard to change doing again. So when you go to do yours, just make sure you get a little bit deeper of a base coat, and make sure you don't get quite as much brush streakiness if you care about that sort of thing. But I think it is passable as the start of a pond, and it'll actually do the thing when we get and add the trim scenery around it, because that is definitely the next thing to come. But either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed my portion of it. It's time to see what editor Nick did.
Month 3 was fairly straightforward, just a matter of gluing down these grass mats and creating this pond. For the grass mats, I have worked with these in the past for 2 shelf layouts that I've built that are perfectly flat. They're a great way of being able to cover a large piece of territory very quickly as far as having a finished ground cover look if it's 100% flat. You do have to be careful of undulations, and the bigger an area you're covering, the more you have to be cautious of that. They are a great method of doing that. As you can see, we've extended the grass mat coverage a little bit by adding some strips toward the back. For the pond, we ended up using 2 coats of glue because 1 wasn't enough. As you can see with Mark's video, it does result in seeing brush strokes and some of the brown showing through. 2 coats was enough. The resin was an interesting experience to work with. For the pond, I tried using the pipette, but it was blowing air bubbles into the resin, and my wife said just pour it in there, and that's what I did, and it came out looking flat and still being able to control the flow. That said, it still has a number of air bubbles, and I tried to remove what I could while it was wet. I'm not sure if that's my work or the nature of the product, so I'll probably experiment with other methods of creating water in the future. As Mark said, this is a great way of experimenting with different modeling techniques, and I look forward to seeing what the future months hold. Back to you, Heis.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you, Nick, for providing your extra insight as always. And once again, thank you, Walthers, for sponsoring these videos, developing this really cool system of kits that teaches you model railroading and helps me learn the things along the way. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have been building along or been working on your own layouts as inspiration by some of this. So thank you all for watching. We'll see y'all next month.